and they look down, and there's a dude running away with the fucking generator. Just taking off.
Horrible, but funny, right? Like,
Oh.
when he said it, I kind of helped but giggle.
Oh, I mean, I get a little giggle, but dude, that's dark.
Yeah. I saw a thing on the internet the other day saying inflation was like at a 10-year low.
What?
Dude, it was something I came across when I was researching this episode. We have talked time and time again that the internet is a fucking dumpster fire. Dude, I wasn't embarrassed, but when even I can hear it, it was not good.
Oh, dude. Like, you went back to the homeland real fucking fast.
Well, also, he had been here for like days at that point.
He fucking rubbed off on you quick.
Oh, it was easy, man. Like,
house.
Yeah, host, oat.
Oat.
Oh, yeah, you could really hear it. I was a little fucking embarrassed, but like I said, not so much. I mean, it's the same thing that happens when I travel home and come back.
Yeah.
You know, I weirdly listened back quickly to the one when I was there.
Yeah.
And it didn't
come through then.
It didn't come through then.
No.
Which was strange to me.
Right. And you were up there for a week.
I was already up there for a week. I was pretty loose. We were drinking Jameson and shit that day. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, Nigel was drinking some different weird thing he brought with him. I shouldn't say weird, but
it's okay to say weird.
I guess, yeah. It's not offensive. But yeah, it was I must admit, man, when I was listening to the edit, I laughed. I'm like, wow, I sound really Canadian.
Yeah, you really do.
But hey, what are you going to do? That's not the end of the world.
Right.
So, man, how was your week?
It was pretty good. PT's kicking my ass, but it's a good kick in the ass. It's good. I feel good when I'm done.
Right.
So,
and again, that's the point, right? It's supposed to kick your ass.
Right.
So, and you said it's kind of like, it's like self.
Yeah, I'm self-paced.
Self-paced. So they give you a list of shit to do and you just go in and do it. But you do it at like the facility.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it's 2 hours straight.
And somebody comes over and just kind of checks on you.
Yep.
Well, it's
see
not
if
bad,
I got questions, stuff like that.
So there's not one person there standing the whole time you're doing your workout.
No, I mean they're in the room, but they're not babysitting me.
Right, not on your shoulder analyzing everything you're doing. Okay, well that's not so bad, I guess, right, buddy?
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, I've never worked out for 2 hours straight before, ever in my life, and it's just holy shit. Like,
we're not young anymore, buddy.
No, and even when I was in high school, you know, and I was doing wrestling and stuff like that, I was never working out, like physically straining for 2 hours straight.
See, that's why I always get, there's a couple dudes that worked in my shop and guys I work with over the years who are like fit, you know, big, like jack dudes.
Right.
Like, that's obviously not from working for a living, not as an electrician anyway, right?
No.
Some of the other trades get sort of big, you know, like carpenters and like bricklayers and iron guys, right? But you can tell those guys are putting the time in after hours. Like, man, good for you. I don't know where your ambition is coming from. I've said it before, but good on you. Like,
I'm really learning the importance of it, though.
Oh, sure.
Like, my body's breaking down because I haven't done any of that, and everybody is preaching to me now.
Atrophy gets everybody, man.
Yeah. You got to start exercising.
No, you definitely do. Well, we all know that, so here we go.
Getting old blows, man.
Yeah, that's it. Getting old blows. Hey, I say it all the time. Even Mona Lisa's falling apart, buddy. What are you going to do?
Right.
Welcome, everybody, to the Irish Hour After Work podcast for things trades, all things trades and trades related. Sean and I are here in the Eastside Job Trailer again. Good morning once again, my man.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody out there.
Yeah, thanks for listening at least another week. Before we get going here, give them the housekeeping on the calendar, buddy.
Okay, yeah. If you wanted to actually be a guest, or if you think you know somebody that would be a really cool guest, you can send them the link over to our website, and it's actually got the little button right at the top that says "Want to be a guest" with a question mark on it, and you can go through and fill out the form and get on our calendar, and we'll have a little chit chat.
Yeah, there's a little pre-interview chat we'll have with you just to make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. It also does send you a media release form that you have to sign because that's how the rules work.
Absolutely.
So, but yes, as John said, if you are interested in that, we do those pre-interviews on Mondays and Wednesdays. You'll see those are the only open days in the calendar, but we are excited about anybody who wants to be a guest.
And they are via Zoom, so you don't have to go anywhere.
Right, we're gonna do this from the comfort of your own home, Zoom, and if that doesn't really work out for you, we can always figure out a phone call or something too. So, right. But anyways, there's the biz. So today, my man, I just wanted to get into something that I'm hearing a lot of talk about in the job sites again recently. It's been a problem forever. There's no getting around it. It's a serious problem we're faced with in construction industries. Got to be theft.
Fuck, it's horrible, man.
Right, the world is full of thieving little shits. So. Let's get into it.
Yeah, why do people have to be assholes?
Well, that's exactly
desperation, maybe?
We're gonna get into those little things. So, from the Neuroject site, some just basic basic statistics of what we're looking at here. It can range annually, all these things depend on the economy. We're going to talk about it. Theft and construction can run anywhere between $300 million and $1 billion annually.
That's fucking insane.
That's a lot that we're losing out on, right? So, and obviously, we all know, like, people steal copper. Like, that's a big one now.
Oh, if it's shiny, they're all over
right.
it.
I've seen so many fun videos, and I shouldn't say fun because hopefully all these people didn't get seriously injured, of somebody blowing themselves half up trying to get like wire out of an electrical construction site that's already hooked up.
Man, that's natural fucking selection. I hope they get hurt.
I hope they learn.
Hope they're in the hospital.
Yeah, I hope they learn a fucking lesson.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, at least with that.
Zero fucking sympathy for idiots.
Right. So, and
like
then,
that.
Yeah, like idiots like that. And I mean, again, we're going to get into the reasons why here shortly. But with the rising costs of so many things, not just materials and all that, because when I looked it up here, man, obviously we know copper wire, copper pipe.
Yeah.
But also machinery is a big one that never even thought to dawn on me.
I saw this on your list. What are you talking about machinery? How are they stealing machinery?
Okay, so machinery encompassed a whole bunch of things. It kind of as a general, like, I don't agree that they use the word machinery. They should have just said equipment. People are stealing tools. We know that.
Okay, tools are...
Right. But they counted tools in the percentages we're going to go through. They counted tools under machinery. So I guess anything power actuated. Right. So I know
that's a weird category.
I know it's a broad category. I get it, but I can't control the internet. If I could, I'd be a billionaire. But yeah, so they count. So that's tools right up to small equipment, maybe a jumping jack, a saw for concrete, right up to excavators, and they are getting stolen, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's a big part of the reason that I think, especially I've noticed it the last 10 years, a lot more rental of equipment as opposed to having your own that you can bring out to sites.
Right.
There's got to be some sort of let off for the company who's renting it, that if something gets stolen, well, that's part of the insurance of the company who rented it to us, or we split the difference or something. When you're not the sole owner, there's got to be some savings there.
Yeah.
And again, you're not responsible for maintenance, but that's off topic. So what have you seen in your career as far as things getting stolen, man?
Oh, geez, dude. I've had my tools, my entire tool bag stolen.
You have had your whole kit taken?
The whole fucking thing.
Just one time?
Just one. Well, twice.
Twice. So that's one person has had to replace their whole kit. Did they get it out of a vehicle while you're on the construction site? Like,
they took it right out of the game box on the job site.
Just forced it open?
One was cut open. The other one, they came in the middle of the day. And everybody was working. They just reached in. I wasn't working that day. I had taken the day off. They walked right in the building, went to the first game box they saw, grabbed whatever they could fit in their hands, walked right out the fucking door.
Fuckers.
Yep. They're getting really slick because if they can get a hold of a high-vis vest, you're fucked.
And a shit hard hat. Listen, I can tell you a story about it right now. They had a video years ago. I was working on a big grocery store. Bunch of stuff went missing from multiple gang boxes, lost thousands of dollars in pipe, a little bit of wire. On a Saturday, nobody there. They go back, they look at the video, and like, well, what company is that? Well, there's no company. That somebody just grabbed a high-vis vest and a hard hat. I mean, that person had sneakers and shorts on.
Right.
They camouflaged themselves just enough.
Right.
That, well, how could you tell who that is?
Well, and there's the problem, right? Because we get delivery drivers on the job site. That's what they're wearing. Tennis shoes and shorts.
Exactly.
We don't question that when they're hauling material in.
Yeah,
if I see another guy walking around, I'll usually stop and be like, hey, who are you looking for? Because usually if you stop and talk to them, if they're trying to steal shit, they'll take off.
You'd hope.
Yeah, as soon as they're acknowledged, because they don't want to be acknowledged, as soon as you do that. So question everybody.
Right, question everybody.
Look fucking sideways at everybody on the job site.
It's a drag because you don't want to be that guy question every little move somebody makes. Because I've been on sites as a service driver where I'm back and forth in the back rooms of places all the time. And once in a while, somebody gets what I call uppity, even though I shouldn't give them grief for doing their job. And we'll stop and go, what are you doing here? Working?
Right.
Oh, what company are you with? I'm like, it's right on my shirt. And I already acknowledged myself to management. So if you're really concerned, go find management and they'll tell you I'm here, or call the cops if you really feel like it, which of course I would never actually say. Right.
No, with your position, you got to be a little bit PR.
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole plan, right?
Yeah.
So just going down the list here, I know we talked about it briefly, but the 5 most common stolen things.
Yep.
Copper's number 1 by a ton.
Oh yeah.
Of that 300 million to 1 billion annually, that has about 4 million, 5 million. That covers that. The only reason that's as small as it is in the big grand scheme of things is when we get to some of the other stuff, that happens more often than other theft, but other theft is more valuable.
Right.
Like higher dollar figures. So number 1 is copper. Lumber is, of course, number 2.
Who the fuck is stealing lumber?
So I had to look into it, Max. I was like, yeah, who the fuck is packing up lumber? So here's what happened, buddy. So many things fall back to the pandemic. When the price of lumber and materials went through the roof.
Yeah, people were getting it anywhere else.
That they could because they couldn't afford to pay the prices. So they stole more. Open job site. There's nobody there. It's easy to get in through the fence. Got a stack
of fucking lumber right next to the building.
If they even got a fence, right?
Right.
Yeah, so you see so many times now. Like I used to laugh at the guys who would bring a piece of heavy equipment in and hold down materials for the weekend. I'm like, what are you worried about? Oh, okay, that's what you're worried about.
Yep.
Yeah, you lost $1,000 worth of shit one time and you ain't taking no fucking chances no more. Like, yeah.
Right.
I was sorry for being judgy to those people all those years, but it really is a fact. Obviously, you talked about the small tool. I've been lucky in my career, knock on wood. I've never had my toolkit stolen, but I have come out of a back room, going to my van, whatever, coming back inside like a public place and caught somebody giving it like a real hard eye. Like, oh, is anybody around? Like you can see them looking and then you walk over in your shirt and they act like they weren't doing nothing, walk away. Like I have seen people eyeballing my stuff. But again, fortunately, it's never happened to me. We've all heard the stories of people getting them taken, right? It's real common. So
funniest story I've ever seen, I've ever heard is a couple of guys were up in a lift and they had a generator down on the ground because they had a corded drill that they had to use on the lift. And all of a sudden the corded drill stopped fucking working. And they were 30 feet in the air and they looked down and there's a dude running away with the fucking generator. Just taking off. They're just like, well, fuck. Yeah, there's no way you're going to get down fast enough to catch him.
Man, how bold are some people? My God. I can't even imagine. So, I mean, that falls under like, they differentiated in this particular article, which was from WCCTV.com, by the way. Small tools and power tools, they did separate those ones out, right?
Right.
That's an inconvenient theft for the people that, like you and I, who are working for a living.
Right.
Going to replace your whole kit. I mean, most companies, they got insurance. They got a few bucks in the bank. They'll cover you. You go in, hey, they stole my gear. All right, get yourself geared up again. We'll cover the cost or whatever. Like that happens. Yep. A lot of companies, union and non, have that in place. But it's the hassle of the whole thing. When you could go on a place like Facebook Marketplace and see basically your toolkit for sale.
Yep.
You might not be the one they took from you, but I mean, it has exactly the tools in it that you had for 100. Like,
yep.
I'm almost tempted for some of the people who do lose their kit. See if you can find your own kit. Right. It's probably cheaper than replacing everything.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like you can go to the cops after the fact and go, hey, listen, I just bought my tools back from a guy at this fucking address. Like,
right.
Go get them.
Right.
And pay with a check so you can prove it.
Right. Well, and that's the deal too. Like when I had bought my tools stolen twice, like the company was really cool. But let me give a word of advice to the fucking foreman running the jobs. Because I was not the foreman at the time. For the love of God, maintain your fucking tools. If you're going to offer them to a guy to fucking use for the day while yours get replaced, give him fucking tools that work.
Right. That's the problem. You get whatever shit's left over.
Rusty ass fucking.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Here's my second kit for doing side jobs. Not that anybody do that. Like everything's a piece of junk. Right.
Just got soaked in fucking water for a day and a half straight.
Or the ones that you put in the secondary kit because they're just not quite as good as the ones you'll use.
And you just need them for a possible backup if something breaks.
Right.
Don't give those out to guys to use when they're trying to make money.
Fucking exactly.
Fuck.
And as we talked, the number 5 on this list is heavy machinery.
Heavy machinery. That's got to be bobcats, excavators.
Yeah, anything, any earth mover, all that stuff. One of the big parts of this wasn't so much even the theft of heavy equipment as a whole, although that does happen. Right. It was parts and materials off those heavy equipment.
I've had that happen.
Batteries, hydraulic lines, sometimes even to change out of a different size bucket for the front of a loader. It's that stuff that's getting jacked, so somebody doesn't have to go buy their own. It's often not loading up a whole piece of equipment on a trailer, although that happens too.
Yep. But
it was more what they said here. It was almost 70% parts off of heavy equipment that they needed for their own gear or could sell or whatever than actually stealing a dump truck.
Dude, so I had my excavator sitting out on a job. It was fenced off. And the access was only to the people that live in the building. So I know it was some fucking kids in the building. I come back the next morning and I shit you not, everything's fucked with. Like I jump in like the seats moved and fucking controls are all fucking like in a different position and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh, the kids are just over here fucking with it, which I don't mind.
Right.
Kids playing on it, whatever. They're not going to be able to run it. I have the key. There was no extra key around, right?
Exactly.
But I had the bucket sitting down on top of, I had rested the bucket down on, what was it? The tongue of the trailer, because I didn't want the trailer disappearing, right? So I had blocked it. So instead of morons just cranking down the jack of the trailer, because if you just crank it down, you slide it right out from underneath the bucket. Right. No, they pulled the pin out of the bucket and then left it. They realized they couldn't move it, even with the pin out, and they chucked the pin. And then I didn't realize it, and I went to dig a fucking hole, and I had like a 2-foot hole dug already, and I raised up my bucket to dump it out, and then came back over top that hole and went to scoop out some fucking bucket fell right off. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I'm surprised you got the hole dug from the first one.
Well, I had a couple of scoops.
I suppose it took a minute for the weight to shake it loose, right?
Yep.
Like, yeah, that's good stuff, man.
I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, the worst one I ever saw was we were doing a residential building, like a apartment building with the company I used to work for, and somebody came in after a delivery of wire and took the whole delivery. Everything,
the whole fucking delivery.
Everything. I want to say, I don't remember the exact number, but it was $12,000 worth of stuff, I think.
Yep.
Gone overnight. So their solution to that is, well, we got to get that order back, so we need all that wire. So that's the cost of doing business, I guess. Yep. And then they put up multiple cameras on site. And this was years ago, before everything was really, really super great wireless. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the next time they stole it like a week and a half later and just took the cameras too.
Oh, come on, man.
I shit you not. Like, we couldn't believe it. Somebody's like, great, just go get the camera. We went go looking. No, they'd unscrewed all the cameras, taken all the brackets and everything. They didn't just smash them. They just took them to make sure nobody had any of the SD cards ready to get them.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah,
they knew what the fuck they were doing.
They knew what they were doing, yeah. Right. That one, at the time, and it's something I was just going to bring up here anyway, they were pretty sure that was an inside job.
Yep.
But we're going to get into that in a minute here. So, so the biggest problem with this, other than the inconvenience of losing the material and the cost involved there, and the fact that now whatever you were going to do with that can't be done right now while you wait for the new material to show up or the equipment to be fixed or whatever, right? Is obviously going to be the compounding costs of replacement. I mean, things are going up so fast that you may have bought that material months ago, have it on site, ready to rock and roll. Now somebody takes it, you got to go out and buy all new, whatever it is.
At the new market price.
At the new market price. Yeah. So it's a huge problem, buddy.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Not including the compounded, like you said, the compounded expense of downtime.
Oh, right.
Because now you got a bunch of guys that can't do their fucking jobs.
Yeah, that you were planning to do that day. Right? Yeah. And I don't know if it might just be bad karma in the world, but it seems so often that you hear about like a serious theft like that happened the day before you needed to do the work. Mm-hmm. When all of a sudden you show up ready to sheet out a building and like, where's all the plywood?
Right.
Like, it's so close all the time. That's why it does seem like a lot of this stuff are desperation for people who are just trying to make money to take to the recycling center, right?
Right.
Or inside jobs for people. Not only did they now get the material or get a little payoff from somebody because they told a buddy, hey, listen, there's all this stuff at the site. You kick me back a few bucks and whatever.
Right.
They might have wanted some downtime.
I mean, maybe.
Right. So I mean,
maybe.
The theft
Who
isn't,
knows?
yeah, the theft isn't just physical material. Sometimes it's the theft of time.
Right.
Right. So, but anyways, that being said, we've both seen it in our careers a whole bunch of times. And again, the compounding problem of it is just, it's getting worse all the time. Right. From what I found, and let me see if I can find out the site just to give them the actual. Oh, so it was still the same WCCTV.com. Less than 25% of stolen materials are ever recovered. Which I'm surprised the number is that big.
Well, we had a big epidemic back in the days when I was in South Dakota that a company was coming in and they were actually stealing all their shit. And I had a job that had a bunch of wires stolen and people were getting tools stolen and da-da-da-da-da. But what they were doing is they were taking it, loading it on a trailer and taking it to an entirely different state to get rid of it.
There's got to be some extra crime involved with crossing state lines. I know that comes up a lot in crime shows.
Yep. Well, and it doesn't matter really when you get over a certain dollar amount. It's a felony anyway.
Unless you're in California.
Unless you're, well, even then, there is a dollar limit.
Oh, right. But I mean, they have the limit.
Yeah.
You know, what is it, $950 now?
900 and, yeah, I think it's 950 and then it's criminal. Right. But then I think 2,000 is felony.
Right. No call or prosecution below $950, you just walk in and take shit.
Did you hear about the guy that was in the store? He was the store owner.
No.
So he put all of his price tags up, $900 and some on everything, on a fucking chocolate bar, so that if somebody did steal something, it was criminal. Nice. He could charge him. But then once you got to the counter, he had a little coupon back there that fucking took everything back down to regular price.
Smart.
Yep.
Where was that at? Do you remember?
California.
Look, shout out to that guy. Yeah, that's good. That's smart, actually. Yeah. As long as everybody coming in knew that was the deal.
And the people that didn't, that was stealing shit, deserved it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. If you couldn't make that connection, like if you're trying to make use of that, I don't want to call it loophole. I want to call it stupid legal decision to make that non-criminal on a 950, then you should be smart enough to know, well, that's why the price is like that. So I'm going to go to a different store.
Right.
Because there's been, I mean, how many of these videos have you seen of people in masks and stuff just going into like the big hardware stores and running out?
Yeah, just walking out.
With whatever
they're not even running. They're just walking.
There's been a few times I've seen where they've now had hired a security guard to maybe try to deter some of this. What's that guy going to do making fucking $15 an hour? Yep. He's not armed most of the time, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, see.
Again, another great position for a vet.
I believe also another great position for a vet. That's true.
School security, hardware store. I mean, expensive location security. Great places for vets to be employed. They have the training.
I agree with that. And also I heard something really terrible funny this week. A little side tangent here. Somebody was referring to our episode of metric versus imperial.
Yeah.
And said, well, you're definitely using the metric system in the schools down there. And I'm like, no, they're really, really not. And the guy's like, I hear there's 9mm in there all the time.
Oh.
Horrible, but funny, right? Like,
oh.
When he said it, I kind of helped but giggle.
Oh, I mean, I get a little giggle, but that's dark.
Yeah, that's dark. When he said it, I'm like, that's pretty dark. Like, I mean, it's a shame you're not wrong. But shout out to everybody who's going through that, because that unfortunately seems to happen more and more often. But we're going to get off topic there.
Yeah, that'll be a cancellation process.
Right, yeah.
Let's stay away from
Yeah. So there obviously it's worse in different states and different areas. Mm-hmm. So one thing I did find as I was researching some of this, buddy, is the difference between inner city and rural. Mm-hmm. It doesn't change the percentage of theft on construction sites. It changes what gets stolen.
Really?
Yeah. So the urban inner city stuff, like real cities, it leaned more towards the material and hand tool, power tool side of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was the outside of town ones that ended up being lumber and building materials and machinery stuff.
Really?
It wasn't exclusive, but that was the real split. If you're in town, it was kind of smaller, easy to grab. And then out of town, where you might be you're back on a property, you're building a home, you're not there for the weekend, where somebody can go in, take the time. They know you're not there, load up with a bunch of stuff, maybe behind a tree line, outside of prying eyes, and fuck off down the road with all your stuff.
Yeah, it depends on how much time they have too, right?
Exactly. And
that's a big deal.
If you watch
country boys fucking building hunting shacks.
We've been there, right? Like, yeah, like I get it. You just, the simple basic, like that guy has got 2x4 and 2x12 and 2x6 and a bunch of like sheeting. Well, there's my hunting shack. Yeah. There's a deer stand. Like, let's go grab that for free. Like, slimy bastards.
Right.
So one thing that I don't know if this exactly counts, but I want to say it does, buddy. So I'm going to bring it up anyway. The theft of obviously tools and materials and things like that, sure, is part of this number. But another part of this number that didn't even dawn on me was the theft from employees of wages and benefits and things like that. That factored into about 200 million a year of this number. That could be up to $1 billion. So it varied as the years varied, right?
Right.
Companies going under, companies not paying their people for the last couple weeks of employment before they shut the doors all of a sudden. We don't hear much about it anymore. And fortunately, when it happens in a union shop, the union goes right after them and goes, no, you gotta make right by your employees. Sorry that you're closing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that accounted for an actual fair amount of this.
Well, and that's understandable because there's a lot of shops out there that frankly can't take, a hit like that. Right. Their insurance policies will go up, and they'll have to be self-insured at that point. But then if you look at how expensive things are now for material just to purchase them. I'll give you a good example.
Please.
I went and I bought 9 copper fittings for my house that I'm going to put in tomorrow to finish off my plumbing.
Yep.
$80 for 9 copper fittings that are no longer than 1.5 inches. Okay. So when it comes to, say, our big spools of wire, thousands of dollars. If somebody comes in on one of these job sites and it's a smaller outfit, right? And they have to bid the job tight to begin with. They're looking at a 5% margin.
Yeah.
5% profit margin at the end of the job, right?
Yep.
And then they always try to shoot for more, but let's be realistic, 3 to 5%, that's kind of what they get, right? When a project's all done. But then you have a company that has so much tied up into material. If that material gets stolen, not including tools, just material, well, then they have to replace all that, and their insurance coverage failed because their last job got a bunch of shit stolen. That's putting that company under.
Very easily can.
They can't carry the job. They can't carry the wages. They can't. So you have all the employees looking at them going, well, what are we going to do? And they're forced just to look at them and go, I'm sorry, man, but go to shop X. We've got, hopefully they're good enough to be like, hey, I already talked to the owner of this shop. He's going to take all you guys on, finish up the projects, but we're done. We're closing up shop.
Right. And it's one of the big problems, especially like say for a smaller shop. So when it comes to stopping this stuff, it is a little easier now. Remote cameras, like mobile surveillance is so much easier now than it used to be. Wi-Fi right to your phone. You can put up cameras on construction sites.
From 30 feet away and see the hair on your chin.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely.
So many of them are even like infrared after dark and things like that, right? But the things that a lot of the bigger companies are able to do to deter these things, they obviously have it in their budget to be able to do it, where a smaller company doesn't. So installing fencing.
Yeah.
Having the proper ways to lock away material, not just in a trailer that somebody can pop a lock on, pry open in the middle of the night, right?
Right.
Temporary lighting is a big one.
Oh, it's huge.
Because it's expensive, but a small shop can't afford to have a temporary lighting generator set up. They can't be getting somebody to come and hook in a bunch of poles that they had to.
Right.
It's kind of unfeasible, and that's a big one because the dark is the benefit of every
Absolutely.
thief, right?
Absolutely.
Tracking material does factor into this a little bit. I mean, yes, keeping an eye on your inventory and having it on a computer, on a spreadsheet, something knowing it's there. But again, you're talking about another time suck now of a foreman or a job soup got to go around regularly and go, okay, counting everything out. Yeah, we still got the 4 pallets of that. We still got this.
Yeah.
The tracking the material helps, but I can't imagine in any way it would really deter theft. Unless you started to see small amounts going away. And knew, okay, we got to set a camera up and watch this. They're not taking the whole thing, but something's going on here.
Right.
But again, it's such a time suck for a small business.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that should be the temp lighting, security cameras, locking away material. I think the locking away material should be on the contractor themselves. But I think the temp lighting, the site security, the fencing, stuff like that all needs to be laid on the general contractor that's in charge of the entire site. That needs to be their problem.
Oh, certainly it does.
And they need to do a better job of it.
Right. But how often is a small business running not with a GC?
It depends on the project.
Oh, sure it does, right?
Right.
But I mean, so many businesses, like even if you got 10 employees, I mean, you might have all the employees you need to frame up a house. You got some people who come in and do the concrete. Like a lot of that, a residential build.
Yeah.
There's no security around that. You're not putting a fence up around the property.
No, you're not.
You probably can't even get whatever they call it zoning to do that in a lot of places.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
you know what I used to do when it comes to all that? I never left any material that was of any value on any house that I roughed in. I loaded all the wire back up in my truck, took all my tools with me, like everything. Yes, did it eat up time of the day? Absolutely, but I never had shit stolen.
Yeah, and if you got to factor that stuff into your project, right? Like you got to know everything takes you 10% longer because you're unloading and loading up and unloading and loading up. I totally agree. Yeah. Our buddy Doug, who's coming back in again here shortly with us, who runs his own. I mean, he loads everything back up for the most part into his trailer and brings his trailer home every day. Mm-hmm. Like I know there's places where he gets that he probably feels comfortable to not do that. He can leave a saw set up. He knows it's going to be locked up. Right. I mean, a lot of time that guy's just packing everything up, bringing it home because he can't take a chance. Like,
right.
Hopefully nobody gonna try to steal it out of his driveway in a residential area. But people are bold as shit, right? That's
Yep.
the crazy part. Because you see it. I know it's a side topic here, man, but I mean, you see it every year around Christmas time where people start stealing everybody's Amazon packages, which doesn't even seem to be just Christmas anymore.
No, it's all year.
It's just a factor of people are so bold now, broad daylight, resident, they'll go in and take something. That's just going to make it more common on construction sites because there's so many more people milling around. As you said when we got started, all you need is a high-vis vest and a hard hat, and you look like you're probably supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to look twice at a delivery truck.
Nope.
Because a lot of times, if it's not the actual trade there, I've seen places where they'll come in, they'll unload boxes that are either empty or full of junk, as if they're making a delivery, and then load up stuff they want to steal and drive away. I've seen a bunch of videos of that now.
Yeah.
I mean, again, bold.
Yeah,
bold. Like, I wish I had that streak. I mean, not to steal, but just to be so brazen and just go and do things. Like, I don't understand it.
Nobody's going to touch me. Da.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Dude, I tell you what, pray to God I don't catch somebody trying to steal my tools. Because you steal a man's tools, doesn't matter what trade he's in, you're taking away his money.
Yeah, that's my living.
That's how I support my family, how I support my kids. God forbid I catch you trying to steal my tools. You will be tied to a fucking scaffolding. I don't fucking care. Right. I will duct tape your ass and use fucking wire to tie your ass there until the cops get there. Don't care.
Yeah, I'm used to carrying my tool bag around. There's very little chance you can outrun me carrying my 45-pound tool bag. Yep. And I'd like to see a fucking try.
My tool bag can be dropped pretty quick.
Well, you'd hope, yeah. They'll try to at least get away. Yeah, no, I've had people like kind of taking a look, but I've never had anybody even reach for anything, grab anything. It's just, it's always such a hassle, right?
Well, and that's the deal too. We got to really think about, what's the driving factor behind it all? One is the economy. Two is desperation, right?
And they go hand in hand. And until the economy comes around and unemployment starts coming down and people get jobs, And there's some people out there that they don't want jobs. They find stealing is very, very convenient for them and they're making a good living off of it. Right.
But those are the people that, one, on the job site, you just need to start paying attention. Know the people on the crew, know the people in the other crews, right? The plumbers, the fitters, the framers and stuff like that. Get an idea who's working on the job site. And if somebody looks out, say something. Don't be afraid to say something. Because if they take off running, hopefully they trip and fucking crush their head on something. I don't fucking care.
That's exactly what it comes down to, right? Like, this is a business where, in this part of the business, I should say, man, snitching is what it's all about. Even asking the question, like, I'd rather be a little embarrassed because somebody could say, oh, man, listen, I've been working on the site for 3 weeks. I'm like, hey, sorry, man, I didn't see you before, and theft is a huge problem. Like, sorry. Didn't mean to stereotype your, profile you, but I didn't recognize you, so I had to ask the question.
Yep.
Now, there's definitely going to be people who fucking take that personal.
Oh, somebody around the fucking globe is going to take something personal because people are just fucking angry all the time.
That's part of it, man. So yeah, as far as you're absolutely right. Between the economy and the desperation, it's not going to get better before it gets worse.
Right.
The cost of things doesn't look like it's going down anytime soon. Inflation's still. I mean, I saw a thing on the internet the other day saying inflation was like at a 10-year low.
What?
It was something I came across when I was researching this episode. We have talked time and time again that the internet is a fucking dumpster fire. It's so crazy to me that people can just put things out there and there might be somebody who looks at it and believes it. And this was the one that you couldn't believe that if you paid attention to the news at all, what you're paying for things at all on what I'm not going to call them out here, but what people would consider a fairly reputable site. Nope. That's just, man, it's just completely wrong.
Jesus.
I think it's everything with the election coming up. I think there's a lot of that out there trying to get people to feel like things are better. It's brutal, buddy. Yeah. But yes, it's definitely not at a 10-year low. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no shit. But at the same time, I mean, if you look at the overall cost and the ways to stop it, though, is there's such a wide range. I don't think anything can actually stop it. I think it can be mitigated.
Yep.
I think it might be able to be controlled a little bit, but stopping it Like permanently stopping it, there's no way, unless it's fear. Right?
But there's no fear.
Right.
They have enough problems right now. When I say like the police and the judicial system, as an adult would say it, how often are they actually prosecuting somebody because they caught them with $500 worth of tools?
They won't.
Is it even
the
worth
cops
the
won't
time?
even fucking try.
Yeah. Are they even coming out? Are they taking the time to investigate all those little things?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I doubt it.
Nope.
I've mentioned this before. I was on a site years ago where we had a big Connex where everything went every day. Came in one morning and the Connex was jammed. So I'm bawling at the apprentices going, who locked that fucking thing up? Like, make sure the teeth tuck. Like, what are you doing? No. Everybody said, no, it wasn't me. I'm like, you know what? I'm going in and I'm looking at the cameras. Either one of you guys is lying to me or somebody tried to get in. Well, somebody tried to get into the damn thing. And It turned out to be guys who were working nights, working on the exterior of the building, repainting, who after hours when they thought everybody was gone and gone home, had tried to get into that.
Really?
They were able. I was lucky when the cops showed up. Once I realized it wasn't our people, I called the cops, told them what happened. They came and like, oh yeah, we'll go look at the video. They tracked them right off their equipment, walked around, looked around, tried to pry it open for like 4 or 5 minutes, couldn't do it. Went around, went back to work. 2:00 in the morning. Like, it was very easy for them to now go to that company and go, what 2 people were working here last night? We need to talk to them.
Yep.
So at least that's helped, which in my mind is the number one thing you can do other than securing your material, bringing it home, locking it in the trailer, whatever.
Yep.
And mobile surveillance, mobile cameras are so inexpensive now in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
And where you don't, even if somebody takes them, that sucks. If somebody's like the building that I worked on where they took the old ones, it's a real drag if somebody takes that stuff. But for a couple, $300, you can have multiple cameras on a job site you're working at that screw up to whatever, very easily hide them, whatever you got to do.
Yep.
That comes right to your phone.
Yep.
Very cheap, inexpensive monthly cost, and alerts.
Yep.
Boom. Why is somebody there at midnight? Like, it comes right to your phone. Like,
they're with built-in alarms, motion alarms, and everything else.
Oh, where you can talk right back to them in real time, listen to them talk, go, hey, called the cops already. Good luck.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I would like to encourage these camera companies to add in some features where you can play sounds other than just your own voice. Like, I'd like to be able to play the sound of a cop car over that speaker in the camera, getting slowly louder over time, in the hope that it fooled them enough to go, fuck, we got to get out of here.
Right.
But it's I think that's the best way.
I don't want anything to trick them. I don't want anything to scare them.
Oh,
I want them popped.
You want to be there to get popped?
Absolutely. Yep.
It's not a bad thing, actually. Again, though, if you call the cops at midnight and say, hey, I got cameras on this site that I'm working on remodeling this house and there's people in there stealing stuff, do you believe they're going to go out there with heat and ambition to try to grab them up?
You would think so, but not anymore. I lost a little bit of faith in that.
I have the last few years, and this isn't anything negative against the any of the police forces. But
no, it's legislation.
Well, legislation and what they have to deal with and the attitude that they take off of people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if somebody's in there, if somebody's desperate in the middle of the night in stealing stuff, if I was a police officer, yes, you could argue that that's part of the job. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be real gung-ho to walk into that site. They could have whatever tool in their hand. You never know what they're doing, right? So it's, the dangers of it, I kind of get. The legislation is really screwing them, and that sums it up, I guess, basically. Like, I understand why it's not going that way.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, there's obviously the fact that companies have been dealing with this, and businesses and individuals, as long as there has been things of value. Cavemen were probably stealing food and fruit and women from each other.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Theft has always been a problem. So it's never going to go away. But it would be nice to see some legislative, some legal changes, some insurance changes, because the cost of the insurance when one of these things goes bad, to your point earlier about it really killing a small business, there's got to be some understanding of that stuff. We know insurance companies are making money. Like, when they put up your car insurance now for a small little accident or whatever it is, what have I been paying in for all these years then?
Right.
If every time I have something happen to me, you penalize me, I was supposed to be able to. That's why I paid you all these years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's a tangent, though. I get a little pissed off with insurance companies.
No, I think we all do.
Yeah. So wrapping it up here, though, buddy, it's It's clearly something that's been happening for years. It's not going to stop. Pay attention to the stuff on your sites, especially if you're a smaller company.
Yep.
Think ahead to not get screwed over. It's crucial.
Yep.
And to the younger construction workers out there, don't assume that nobody's going to take your tools off a job site.
Right.
You know, when you have a final kit, whatever your trade is, you've got a kit of your standard tools that comes in with your tool bag, your box, whatever it is. Keep an active list of that stuff and take a photo on your phone and save that shit.
Yep.
When you get a new tool, update that. I mean, I know it sounds kind of petty, but it'll help you out.
It's a son of a bitch.
Yeah, it'll help you out in the long run twofold. One, you'll have a evidential proof of what you had.
Yep.
And when you go to make the list of things that were in your bag, you're not going to remember all your tools.
I didn't
Right.
both times.
You didn't, right? All of a sudden, over the next few weeks, you'll obviously go...
A couple of months even.
Right. Oh, shit, I forgot that. Oh, shit. Like, there's things you use that you don't use every day. So a list helps you replace your entire kit.
Yep.
So that's that. Anything else for them, buddy?
I like what you said there about kind of taking an inventory of your tools and stuff like that. But I also want to speak to all the foremen and the guys that are in control of all the material that's on the job site. Hold off getting material, especially valuable material, as long as you possibly can.
Yes.
Schedule it, plan it out, make sure it's in a secure offsite facility, but get it there the day before or the day of. Do not let it sit around with the valuable shit.
Right. And that you just reminded me one last thing I wanted to point out here too, buddy. I understand why a lot of companies do this, but I don't kind of agree with it. And it's something to keep in mind, especially if you run like a small to mid-size company. Having mass groups of locks that all work off the same key.
Mm-hmm.
I understand the convenience of it to be able to give them to your staff.
Yep.
Think about that.
Yep.
Right. Those keys could be anywhere. If you've got 5-10 keys that run all your locks,
mm-hmm.
Yes, you want to be able to have people that can go to another site and open things up and help out, but that's just one level of security that you just no longer have now.
Yep. And then on that whole key thing too, great fucking point. But like the equipment, right? Like the equipment that a company buys, if you own equipment, excavators, Bobcat, stuff like that, get custom keys for that equipment. Pay the little extra, get custom keys, because if you don't, anybody with one of those keys can get your shit.
And not to mention the fact that I hate to give out information that could increase theft, but we're all pretty common sense here. We know where the key is hidden on a lot of equipment when they don't take 9 times out of 10. If they don't lock the keys up separately, take them home, whenever, we know where they're at. I've showed up on so many sites where I need a piece of equipment. I know they're cool with me using it. The key's stashed here.
Yep.
The key's stashed there. And I won't call out the brand, but there is a very popular local company that rents out power equipment
mm-hmm.
that I can turn on all of their equipment with one of the tools in my bag. And I'm going to tell you, it's not a fucking key.
Yep. I've got a keychain.
Oh, with everything.
And
yeah.
I've got a key for just about anything because I ran all the equipment.
Right.
I can go on pretty much any job site and unlock any equipment on that job site.
Right. And you might have been working on a site for a while and acquired a few of those keys. And now you're not even a construction worker. You're just a thief now who goes in, and smart criminals will have that as well.
And on your point of being able to let out information, I found out that you can buy equipment keys on Amazon.
Yep.
By the key ring load.
Yeah, sure you can.
Like
full sets.
What the fuck are they? Okay, Amazon, stop selling keys. Stop.
That's a cash grab if ever there was one.
Fuck,
right? Yeah.
Like let's go back to basics and how to control it. Right? Don't let it out everywhere. Amazon.
Yeah. Some of it's a bit much. They sell lock picking sets.
Oh yeah.
With tutorial videos that come right on the QR code in the box. Not that I'd know. I looked into it.
I'm actually thinking about buying one because my wife locked her keys in the car.
Well, I'll tell you, man.
And it was $120 for the freaking locksmith.
Yeah, I know this. I know this doesn't factor into our construction-related talk here, but just on that note that you mentioned it, have you seen the videos on the internet of people unlocking cars with a tennis ball?
With a tennis ball.
So, folks, look this up. I'm going to give you a quick description here before we let you go for the day.
Unlocking. Hang on a second. Unlocking cars.
Mm-hmm.
The door.
The door of a car
with
door.
a tennis ball.
Yep. You haven't seen this, I take it. Excellent. I'll bring up.
I'm fucking looking that up when we're done here.
Yeah, I'll bring up a video after we're done. The basic example is, and I won't be able to describe it perfectly, but look up the video yourself. They're cutting a slit into a tennis ball, sometimes one, sometimes like an X across, right? Using that open space, cutting it out as some sort of suction where they will put that over the locking mechanism on a car door, push in a few times to get it, and it will often, not always, with the air pressure, disconnect the door lock on the inside. It's wild when you see the videos, folks.
No.
Yeah. A tennis ball. So, anyways, folks, that's just a fun side note at the end that I came across when I was looking up this episode. I'm always willing to admit sometimes the things on the internet are fake. I haven't done this myself, but I did see multiple videos on multiple different cars, different ways people did this. It looked pretty legit. So I leave it up to you to decide for yourselves, folks.
Well, on that note, I'm going to close this down, dude.
We could spin on this all day.
We really can. And we have before. But thanks, everybody, for listening this long. We really enjoyed that you're here. Hit us up on the website. Hit us up on the Instagram, isawpodcast.com. And at ISawPodcast on Instagram. And you can send us a DM. You can give us a like, thumbs up, give us a rate and review.
Please
subscribe
do,
on YouTube.
And just to reiterate one more time, we are really excited about anybody who's interested in being a guest on the show. Please check out the Wanna Be a Guest widget right at the top of our website. It takes you a minute to sign up, pick a date. We'd be happy to do the pre-interviews, and we'd be really looking forward to getting some fun people on. So please check that out.
Absolutely. This next year is all about guests.
Yeah, it's 2024, the end of 2024 and 2025. We're going to guest heavy this year. So if you think you'd be fun, you want to come in and talk to us, even if you just want to talk smack about electricians, we are here for it. We're here for it. So thank you very much for listening again this week, everybody. And while you're getting after it, as always, please remember our motto here at the ISAW Podcast: your work keeps the world working. Thank you.
Sláinte.
Sláinte.